All right, we are back with some history. We're going to talk about Jim Thorpe some more. We talked about him yesterday and learned some interesting things about this young man's life. He was born a twin, right? And his twin brother, do you remember the name? Charlie, good. I figured Zoe would probably remember that because Charlie was her brother. So Charlie and Jim and Charlie loved to do lots of things. What were some of the things that they loved to do? They loved to ride horses, swim, hunt, fish, trap animals, all of these different things. What did happen that was very tough for Jim? Right? When they went off to school, they went off to boarding school, and Charlie became sick, and eventually he died. And even after that, who else? Mom died. After that, who else? Dad died. But what did Jim decide he was going to do no matter what obstacles came? He was going to still get his education. He knew his parents and his brother would want that for him. How did Jim surprise the track team when he was in college? Yes, they're out there trying to jump over this 5'9" pole, and they couldn't do it. None of the track team could do it. It was the school record, and nobody could get it, and he asked if he could try. And of course they laughed at him, and they thought, with your overalls and work shoes on, okay, go ahead, give it a try. And he's like, okay, let's see if I can do this. And he ran, and he jumps, and he clears it. And the track team is amazed. They run and tell their coach, you've got to see this guy. He just broke the school record in overalls and work shoes. And the coach said, we're getting you a tracksuit, and we're getting you some running shoes, some sneakers, the proper gear, because you're going to be on the track team. But what did Jim want to do more than anything else? Because there was something that was his love. This was one of the things that the track coach was like, I don't want you to. Yes, play football. He wanted to play football more than anything else. But the track coach was like, no, I don't need to break you. I don't need you to be broken. I don't want that for you. But Jim loved it, and he went out. They gave him the football the first time, told him to run down the court to see if he would, the field. Sorry, I know my sports. Don't worry, not a court, field. Okay, told him to run down the field, and just to make sure, they don't want him to get hurt. He took the ball, and he was like, okay. And he starts running down the field, and like, hey, get out of my way, guys, move out of my way. I'm trying to get down to the. Nobody could tackle him. He made it down to the end of the field, and they decided, you know what? You're on the football team and the track team. What else did he do besides those? He played baseball as well. This was an athletic young man, and he loved all of that. Well, today we are on to the 1912 Olympics, page 384 in your books. 1912 Olympics. In 1912, Jim Thorpe was honored to be chosen for the United States Olympic track team. It's not something you just, can just say, oh, I'm going to do it. No, you have to be chosen. And they were like, we want you. We want you on the track team. And that was such an honor. The games took place in Stockholm, Sweden. So he got to Sweden to try to compete in these games. He was to compete in the pentathlon and the decathlon. The pentathlon consisted of 5 track and field events, and the decathlon consisted of 10 track and field events, okay? So there's 5 track and field things that he had to do, and then 10 track and field things that he had to do. During the first day of competition, the athletes had to compete through a terrible rainstorm. It's raining, and you're trying to run, and you're trying to jump over things, and you're trying to throw things. I mean, it was terrible, but they did their best. On the final day, Jim Thorpe's track shoes were stolen. So this is the final day. This is the chance to kind of show the last bit of what you have, and his shoes were stolen. We know about Jim, right? He doesn't give up. So guess what he did? He found shoes. But these shoes that he found were not even the same size. They weren't the right size for him. He wore an extra sock to make the shoe fit better. One was bigger, one was smaller, but he's like, I'm just going to do it. I'm not going to stop just because somebody took my shoes. I'm still going to run. Nobody's going to stop me from competing. So he put in extra socks to make one shoe fit better and ran the race. And guess what? His time was even faster than before. So to that person that took his shoes, you failed. Jim Thorpe would not let anything stand in his way. He won gold in both events. When King Gustav V of Sweden gave Jim Thorpe his gold medal, he said, "Sir, you are the greatest athlete in the world." Jim Thorpe was the first Native American to win a gold medal for his country, and he is the only man to ever win gold in both of these events. The gold medal ceremonies had been the greatest day of Jim Thorpe's life. I mean, wow, I got my medals. Now, remember, these are just fun for Miss Monroe. They're not anything serious. But he got the real things. And boy, what a day that was for him. However, when he returned home, an article was printed saying that he had made money playing minor league baseball. We know that's one of the things he did, right? He played minor league baseball. He didn't know that you're not allowed to play minor league baseball and get money for it and then be in the Olympics. It's against the rules. Even though he did not know about that rule, he had still broken it. And Jim Thorpe had to give his gold medals back. He had to give them back. And then his name was erased in the books that he had, as if he had never even competed. So what he worked so hard for and what he earned, because he did the work and he did all of the, he did it well, what he earned, he never got credit for, because they took his name out of the books as if he had never even been in the Olympics. He just can't seem to catch a break, right? I mean, he's amazing. But now, people aren't even recognizing that, because what he did in the Olympics, it's all erased. But look at the next title. Not a quitter. Jim Thorpe's disappointment did not stop him. I mean, he's bummed. But he's like, you know what? Well, forget it. Then I'll just go on and do what I love, and I'll do it to the best of my ability. First, he played Major League Baseball. Remember, he was doing minor league. Now he's Major League, and he did that for 6 years. He also played professional football and became the first president of the American Professional Football Association. Mouthful, okay? He was one of the first presidents of that association. When he was ready to move away from sports, Jim Thorpe decided to become an actor. So, yeah, I'm getting too old for sports, but I'll act. So he had small parts in many Western films. So maybe some old-time Western films, you can look them up and see if you find Jim Thorpe's name in there, because he did that. Honors. Let's see if he finally gets some of the recognition that he deserves. In 1950, Jim Thorpe was named the greatest football player and the greatest overall male athlete of the year. So you're the greatest football player, greatest male athlete of the whole year. A film was made about his life and his great accomplishments in sports. After Jim Thorpe died in 1953, he was still honored with several awards, even after he died. 10 years later, he was honored as a charter member of the Professional Football Hall of Fame. The decision was finally made to restore his Olympic medals, which were given to his family. He never got to see them again, but his family were given those gold medals back. And they said, this is in honor of him. I know that he's gone, and it's sad that he didn't get to realize that we still consider him an actual athlete that did some great things. Sorry about that. But we want to give these to you as the family to honor your fallen, family member who we think deserve these. Each year, the National Football League gives an award to the most valuable player. This award is called the Jim Thorpe Trophy. In 1999, the U.S. Congress passed a resolution naming Jim Thorpe, get this, look at it, as America's Athlete of the Century. Not of the day, not of the year, not even of the decade, of the century, 100 years. He's the greatest athlete of the century. Mr. Thorpe died before his medals were returned or many honors were given to him, but he is remembered as a man who refused to give up. He refused to let hardships discourage him. Third grade, learn from that. We don't let our hardships overtake us and define who we are or discourage us. Jim Thorpe worked hard and used his God-given talents to the best of his ability. Look at this, stop and think. God has given each one of you a talent. Every one of you has been given a talent by God. When you find out what your talent is, use it to the best of your ability and allow God to work through you, even if you are not rewarded for it. What is one talent you believe God has given you? I want you to talk about that with your family. Sometimes you may not have even thought of it, but even right now, God has given you an ability. Maybe it's in drawing. Oh, I actually am a pretty good drawer. You know what? I really do have a pretty good voice, I think. I have this ability and that. God has given you abilities. Figure out what they are and think about how you can use them for Him. This is such an important thing because many times those things that you love and appreciate and enjoy as a child, God allows you to hone in on those so that when you become an adult, you get to keep going with that talent that He's given you. So use that talent, figure out what it is, talk with your family about it, figure out what it is, and then ask God, God, show me what you want me to do with this talent. One thing that I love to do is I played the flute when I was little, and I wanted to do that. And then I got older and I played in college, and I gave lessons to other students. I have played for people's weddings. I've played for many different things. It was something that I truly, truly loved and enjoyed. So think about what God has given to you that you can do for others. So there's comprehension check on page 387, true or false. Answer true or false. But then if it is false, write and figure out what the correct answer is. So give the correct answer if it's false to make sure that you do know and understand why it's false. Page 388, very quickly, we're going to start on our next person, Jesse Owens. Jesse. James Cleveland Owens was born in 1913 in Alabama. His grandparents had been slaves during the time of the Civil War. Now his father was a farmer. Life was not easy for the Owens family, but they trusted God and made the best of what they had. James went by the nickname JC. When JC was young, he was often sick, but there was usually not enough money to see a doctor. Once, JC's mother even had to perform surgery on him at home. His mother is like, okay, I'm going to do some surgery on you because you need help, and this is not... JC was brave and didn't even cry. As JC grew weaker, he heard his father praying for him. God heard Mr. Owens' prayer and helped JC recover to grow even stronger. JC's family did not have money for toys. He spent most of his time playing with his brothers and sisters. His favorite thing to do was run barefoot in the open fields. No other child could catch JC. He was the fastest boy around. He once said, I always loved running. You could go in any direction just on the strength of your feet and the courage of your lungs. I love running. When JC was 9 years old, his family moved to Cleveland, Ohio. There were no more open fields, but JC still found places to run. On JC's first day in his new school, the teacher asked him what his name was. He answered, my name is JC. Because of his southern accent, she thought he said Jesse. He was too shy to correct her, and he has been called Jesse ever since. So his real name was James Cleveland, but because he had that accent, that southern accent, my name is JC, ma'am. Oh, okay, Jesse, nice to meet you. I said JC, not Jesse, but because of his southern accent. And so now that's what we call him, Jesse Owens. Didn't have anything to do with his name. He was called JC, J for James, C for Cleveland. But because of that southern accent, that's what he was called. We'll find out more about JC next week, because tomorrow is Saturday, so we're not going to have any school. But we'll find out more about him and what he did and what his life was like next week. We'll see some great things. Started off rough for him too. And like we said, he and Jim Thorpe had some things in common. That's why they're both here in this chapter together. So we'll find out some more things about J.C. Owens. All right, see you next time.